Good morning. Can you hear me in the jail? Maybe not. Let's see.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. All right, folks, I'm going to call your name. When I call your name, I need you to step up. I do have a tendency to move quickly. This morning, I've already reviewed all your paperwork. I've reviewed all your prior history, so I know an awful lot about you, each of you this morning. Brittany Haynes.
North Broward, I believe, Judge.
All right.
She's here, Judge.
Hello.
Ms. Haynes, you're being held on a charge of resisting an officer without violence. The court does find probable cause to detain you. The court notes that you have 3 prior charges this year alone. You have 2 options this morning, ma'am. If you want to resolve this charge, in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to time served, or you can come back and contest the charge by posting bond of $100. What would you like to do,
I
ma'am?
believe Ms. Hayes would like to resolve the case, Judge.
Right. Do you want to take adjudication time, sir, Ms. Haynes?
I don't understand what that means exactly.
All right, then she's going to have to bond out. Thank you. Lindsay Kitchen?
North Broward, you're on step.
It's not a very good offer. Ms. Kitchen, you're being held on a warrant for failing to appear on a charge of prostitution and lewdness. The court does find probable cause to detain you. The court notes that you have 29 priors. You have 2 options today. If you want to come back and contest the charge, you can post bond of $500, or in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 10 days, credit for any time you've already served, ma'am. What would you like to do?
I'll go ahead and take the 10 days.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jill Donovan?
North Broward, you're on.
Ms. Donovan, you're being held on a charge of trespass. The court does find probable cause to detain you, ma'am. The court notes you have 8 priors. You have 2 options this morning, ma'am. If you want to come back and contest the charge, you can post bond of $100, or in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 3 days, credit for any time you've already served, ma'am. What would you like to do?
No contest.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
And find out for $100.
Oh, you want to bond out? Okay.
Well, if I don't have the money, what do I do?
You'll
My
have to wait to
friend-
see an assigned judge. This wasn't an MO, right? Yeah. You'll have to see your assigned judge, ma'am, if you can't make the $100. What would you like to do, ma'am? All right, go ahead and let her bond
No
out.
contest. No contest.
Sherry Sherman? Ms. Sherman? I don't see her at North.
Medical reset, you're on.
All right, thanks. That's Ms. Sherman. Kamika Israel?
Judge, Ms. Israel is here present at Maine. Come on up, ma'am. Right this way.
Ms. Israel, you're being held on a charge of battery on an officer. The court finds probable cause to detain you. What says pretrial?
Your Honor, I show a 2006 shoplifting adjudication also court Pierce. She was arrested in June of this year as well as August of this year. In the state of New York, she has 2 open cases for criminal possession of stolen property.
Okay.
Judge, if I could be heard, my understanding is Ms. Israel is currently looking for work. She's going to be depending on her mother who lives in Port St. Lucie to post her monetary bond. She informed me that her mom is a caretaker, so financial resources are limited. I'd be asking for a $1,000 bond on count 1.
All right, bond will be set at $2,000.
Thank you, Judge.
Rosa Abdallah?
She's here present, Judge. She informed me she has private counsel, Miss Alba Castillo.
Ms. Castillo? Okay, Ms. Castillo, are you here? All right, Ms. Abdallah, have a seat for a moment. Let me see to see if your attorney shows up, ma'am.
And Judge, I don't know if your paperwork got stuck. There was a person before Kamika Israel, Michelle Ortiz on the docket. I don't know if you have the paperwork for it.
I didn't see it this morning in my stack, so. Oh, they said they just gave it to me this morning, so it's gonna have to wait. Sinedra
Okay.
Edwards,
Ms. Edwards, come on up, please. She's here, President me.
Ms. Edwards, you're being held on a grand theft greater than $5,000, fraudulent use of another person's identification, illegal use of a credit card, and also violation of probation. The court finds probable cause to detain you, ma'am. On the grand theft, your bond is $1,000, fraudulent use of ID, $3,500, illegal use of credit card, $1,000. However, you're on a no bond hold. And from what I can see, it's not the state of Florida, but I'm not sure which state it is, ma'am. That's all.
Yes, sir.
Taylor McDaniel,
Ms. McDaniel, come on up, please. She's here, approach.
Ms. McDaniel, you're being held on 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and also tampering with or fabricating physical evidence. The court does find probable cause to detain you, ma'am. Until further order of the court, you can have absolutely no contact with Malika Butler or Ariana Johnson. What's this pretrial?
Your Honor, I shown a prior record of this defendant.
Are you folks family members? Okay. Without telling me anything about the case, were you there at the time of the incident?
No, sir.
No? What's this estate?
Your Honor, based on the allegations, and, Your Honor, I'd be requesting $15,000 bonds on counts 1 and 2. In addition to the no victim contact you ordered, Your Honor, I'd be requesting an order of that she not be in possession of any firearms, weapons, or ammunition until further order of the court.
Okay.
Judge, with Ms. McDaniel, my understanding is this is her first contact with the criminal justice system. She's a registered voter here in Broward County. She's 23 years old, been here her whole entire life. She's basically stay-at-home mother, taking care of her 2 children, ages 2 and 10 months old. She lives with her boyfriend, who's here present, who's the father of her children, and he's basically the sole provider of the house. He, my understanding, is the driver for City Furniture. So as far as the monetary bonds, which the state is proposing, he cannot afford, we'd be asking you, Your Honor, to consider a $1,000 bond on count 1 and count 2, leave the standard bond in place on count 3. I know that's a low bond, so we wouldn't be objecting also having her be supervised on pretrial as well as a monetary bond, Judge.
Does she live with you folks?
No, she lives, actually, the father and her live together.
At the same place with Malika Butler and Ariana Johnson?
Oh, that's your
No,
father. That's your...
that's somewhere else.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Based on the information presented to the court is going to order as follows. Ma'am, I'm going to place you on pretrial detention, which will require that you be subject to a GPS electronic monitor, which means you are not allowed to leave your house for any reason, pending further order of your assigned judge. There will be bond on each count at $1,000 for a total of $3,000. The posting of that is a condition of being placed on pretrial. During your, all general conditions of pretrial are in effect, including possession of no firearms or any other weapons. Madam pretrial, do I need to add anything to that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor,
I'm sorry?
is there a distance that you would like her to order her to remain away from?
Well, do they live near each other?
No, but, the two brothers, so these are 2.
But so they don't live on the same street or the same? Okay. So I'm going to put there that as far as Malika Butler and Ariana Johnson, she cannot come within 500 feet of them. That's bigger than a football field, okay?
That's your question, because Ariana is actually the niece, so they live with the father's mother. So,
Is Ms. McDaniel live there too?
yes.
Well, Ms. McDaniel's not going to be able to live where either of those 2 people
No,
are.
the 2 people don't live there. I'm just saying the grandmother, they live with the grandmother.
Well, she's not involved in this, to my knowledge. All I'm
But the
saying is that
distance-
Ms. McDaniel cannot be within 500 feet of either Ms. Butler or the child.
Right, but
Okay.
if they come there, is that a problem for her? That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So if Miss Butler and the child come there, what Taylor has to do, because that's her living room.
Then she can't open the door and they can't let them in the house.
Okay,
And you need to let Grandma know that,
I will.
okay? Thank you, folks.
Judge, I just received a call from Ms. Haynes at North Broward. She's wondering if you would recall her case so she could take the time served off her.
And Judge, before we move on from Ms. McDaniel, I do realize Your Honor put her on a GPS. I'd ask Your Honor, considering she's not working, would you waive the cost of, I believe, $5 a day on the monitor?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Whoever needs to be recalled is going to have to wait to the end, okay?
Okay.
Jennifer Belavia. Ms. Belavia?
It's medical loan. Judge.
Not sure.
Oh, she's not there? Okay.
I think she's on loan.
Okay. Tara Moss?
Yo.
She was removed off
North Carolina.
she was magistrated already on the BOP.
Okay, thank you very much. Brian Phoenix?
He's here at Main, Judge. He's approaching.
Mr. Phoenix, you're being held on a warrant for failing to appear on a charge of trespass. Sir, the court notes you have 12 priors. You have two options today. Your assigned judge has set your bond at $1,000. If you want to resolve this case today, sir, in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 7 days, credit for any time you've already served. What would you like to do, sir?
He wishes to accept the court's
All
offer,
right,
Judge.
thank you. Jermont Brown?
Mr. Brown is here, present, Judge.
Mr. Brown, you're being held on warrants for failing to appear on a misdemeanor charge in a criminal traffic matter. Sir, the assigned judge has sent a total bond of $1,000 before you. You are due to see, it says Division MW, that's Judge, who is MW? I think that's Judge Evans. Well, I'm not sure why it says Evans. Was that reassigned to Judge Evans?
Yeah, sure. It just kept the satellite case number, but it was assigned.
Reassigned to Judge Evans, okay. Sir, so you can either you have three options. You can either bond out at $1,000, you can take an adjudication 4 days, credit for any time served, or you're scheduled to see Judge Evans in the morning at 9 o'clock. What would you like to do, sir?
Bond out. He'll bond out, Judge.
Bond out? Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
William Hennigan?
Mr. Hannigan, come on up. Municipal ordinance, Judge.
Do we have anyone from the city of Hollywood present? Okay, he'll have to be put on recall. Mr. Hennigan, have a seat for me for a little bit until the public defender for the city comes. Raymond Swerman, or Sherman?
Same thing, municipal ordinance, Judge.
Anyone here, city of Dania Beach? All right, sir, you'll have to have a seat for just a bit. Is anyone here for the city of Fort Lauderdale? Okay.
I know Mr. McLawrence is coming, Judge.
All right, so we'll recall Mr. Roy Miller as well. All right, Byron Moore.
North Broward.
All right, Mr. Moore, you're being held on warrants for failing to appear on 3 trespass charges. The court does find probable cause to detain you, sir. The court notices you have 16 priors.
16 priors?
Additionally, your assigned judge has set your bond at $1,000 on each charge for a total of $3,000. So you have two options this morning, Mr. Moore. If you want to resolve the case today in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 11 days, credit for any time you've already served. Those will be run concurrent with each other. Or you can bond out, come back, and contest the charge on the assigned bond of $3,000. Which would you like to do, sir?
Judge, would you reconsider the length of the jail sentence? Mr. Moore is a Navy veteran. He served from 1979 to 1986. He did receive an honorable discharge. He's also disabled. He was wounded in a drive-by shooting. He was shot
I understand
6
that,
times.
but at the same token, this is the exact same type of conduct where the man got killed by a car just a couple of weeks ago, being in the middle of the road in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I understand.
So he needs to know, he needs to learn, he cannot do that. So no, I will not reconsider. Sir, you can either take the 11 days or you can see your assigned judge. What would you like to do, sir? All right, let him see his assigned judge. Let him see his assigned judge. Nathan Kemp.
I'll take 11.
Nathan Kemp.
Mr. Kemp is here, present, Judge, at Main.
Mr. Kemp, you're being held on a warrant for failing to appear on a traffic criminal matter. Judge Solomon, your assigned judge, has already addressed this, sir. She has entered an order assessing you at no bond. She clearly wants to see you, and you are due to see her tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Tawan Bell.
Mr. Bell, come on up, please.
Mr. Bell, you're being held on a charge of petty theft. The court finds probable cause to detain you. Sir, until further order of your assigned judge, you cannot return to the Dollar Tree. Sir, the court notes you have 22 priors. If you want to resolve this, sir, in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 7 days, credit for any time you've served, or you can bond out, come back and contest the charge by posting bond of $25. Which would you like to do, sir? Gonna bond out? Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Engel is also a recall pending City of Fort Lauderdale. Ronald Banks.
Mr. Banks is approaching, Judge. Come on up, sir.
Mr. Banks, you're being held on a charge of petty theft and failing to appear on 2 criminal traffic matters. The court finds probable cause to detain you, sir. Until further order of the court, you cannot return to Home Depot. On your criminal traffic matters, your assigned judge has set your bond at $1,000. I do note you have 13 priors, sir. If you want to resolve all 3 charges today in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 9 days, credit for any time served, or you can post a total bond of $1,100 and see your assigned judge, sir. What would you like to do?
What do you wish to do, sir?
Is the bond 10% or?
Oh, that's what the bonds are. But right now, the bond is $1,100. Do you want to bond out or accept the court's offer? What do you wish to do?
Bond out.
Judge,
Bond out?
respectfully, hold on. Thank you.
Okay. Heath Jones Sanchez.
He's here present, Judge.
Mr. Jones Sanchez, you're being held on 2 counts of petty theft. The court finds probable cause to detain you. Until further order of the court, sir, as hard as it may be, you cannot go back to the 7-Eleven. What says pretrial?
Here, I do not have a history on him. I'll have to defer to the state.
I didn't find anything, that's why I'm asking.
Judge,
Hold
my
on,
understanding is...
Counsel, hold on. Go ahead.
Something out of Maine.
Could you give me a hint as to what it might be?
I'm pulling it up.
He pled out to trafficking in controlled substance, Your Honor, sentenced to 9 months in state jail.
Mr. Jones, how long have you lived here, sir? In Broward?
6 months.
Oh, okay. Where'd you move from?
Connecticut.
All right. Okay, the court's gonna have to leave the bond. Well, you have 2 choices. Your bond is either $125, or you can take an adjudication, 3 days in the county jail, credit for any time served, sir. What would you like to do?
It's 3 days.
The 3
You want to
days?
accept the court's offer 3 days? Okay.
I don't got nobody gonna pay my bond.
Well, you
Okay.
shouldn't be resolving it just as a convenience. Do you wish to resolve it or not resolve it?
Yeah, resolve it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yes. Sylvester Bryant.
Mr. Bryant, come on up.
Mr. Bryant, you're being held on a warrant for failing to appear on a criminal traffic matter. Sir, your assigned judge has sent your bond at $1,000. The court notes you have 4 priors. If you wanted to resolve this today in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 4 days, credit for any time served, or you can come back and contest the charge by posting the $1,000 bond, sir. What would you like to do?
He wishes to accept the court's offer, Judge.
Thank you. All right, Tracy Robinson, I think, did I see that this was a city? Yes, we have to wait for the city on this one.
Have a seat, sir.
Darren Woods.
Mr. Woods is here. Come on up, sir.
Mr. Woods, you're being held on a charge of driving while license suspended. The court finds probable cause to detain you. Sir, you have 2 options. If you want to come back and fight the charge, I will release you on your own recognizance and you'll be noticed of your new court date. If you just want to get this over with today, the court will adjudicate you guilty and sentence you to time served. Which would you like to do, sir?
He wishes to accept the court's offer time served, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Good luck, sir.
Scott Lomagistro.
No, Broward, he's a medical reset, Your Honor.
All right. Does Judge Zeller take these kind of cases? I know it's not a drug charge, but I read the PC was like, that's what the problem is, it looks like.
And as you say, I know she takes non-drug cases. I can't say with certainty. If you want,
Well, give it a shot. What's the worst that could happen? She can say no. Is this dealt with like Judge Lerner Wren? If once he's off medical reset, he'll be brought over to her? If I order it to be, does the PD know? All right, well, I'm just gonna say, set before Judge Zeller as soon as possible. He didn't have really a bad record, to be honest with you, so I think he probably needs some help. Michael Trimble,
Judge, he's approaching. He advised me as private counsel.
is counsel here for Mr., I'm sorry.
Seth Levine?
Seth Levine.
Seth Levine, Judge, Seth Levine.
I tried calling his office and
I don't think I have, actually, I don't have any paperwork.
I left paperwork on your desk.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Trimble, have a seat for me then, sir. Thank you. We'll see if your attorney shows up. Presley Francois,
Judge, I've been informed that he refused to come down. My understanding, he's been in custody, and this is count 4, so he refused, is what
Okay.
I'm being advised by deputies.
all right, pursuant to rule, the court finds probable cause on the charge of battery on an officer, sets bond at $5,000. There you go. Frederick Fenelon,
He's approaching, Judge. Come on up, sir.
Good morning, Your Honor.
good morning, sir. This is an additional hold on you for a charge of possession of a stolen credit card. You have a bond of $1,000 on this. You are before Judge Usan, and he is due to see you, sir, tomorrow morning at 9:30. Okay?
Yes. Good luck,
Thank you, sir. Rafael Mirabal Bonora. Did I see my interpreter? Are you my Spanish interpreter?
Yes, she is present, Judge.
Does he need the interpreter, Mr.
He does, Judge. He does.
All right, and did I have somebody else?
And so there are 2 individuals here at Maine that require the services of
Yeah,
Spanish interpreter.
okay. Mr. Mirabal,
Señor Mirabal,
you're being held on 2 charges,
se le está reteniendo por 2 cargos,
fraudulent scheme
planear un fraude
to defraud,
para cometer fraude
and also violation of probation out of state.
y también una violación de probatoria fuera de este estado.
Sir, on the violation of probation,
Con respecto al cargo de violación de probatoria,
you're being held without bond,
se le está deteniendo sin fianza
pending your transport to the appropriate jurisdiction.
y queda pendiente está pendiente esa fianza a su transporte a la jurisdicción que le corresponde.
And sir, on the charge of fraud,
En el cargo de fraude,
the court is setting your bond at $25,000.
está fijando la corte su fianza en $25,000.
Okay? And sir, that's all for you today.
Eso es todo lo que le tengo que decir el día de hoy.
You're going to have to see your assigned judge here in Broward.
Va a tener que ver primero al juez que se le ha asignado acá en Broward.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Gracias.
Counsel, was it Mr. Cruzado? Who was the next one I need?
Oh, Spanish?
Yes.
That is in North Broward. He does not.
No. I'm trying to find who I need Spanish for.
Page 15.
I don't
would
have a
be,
page.
I'm
Just a
sorry,
name.
Jose Perez Concepcion.
It's a few down.
All right. Mr. Perez Concepcion.
Señor Pérez Concepción,
All right, sir, you're being held on 4 matters:
se le ha detenido por 4 asuntos:
burglary of an unoccupied conveyance,
allanamiento de una morada no desocupada,
2 counts of petty theft,
2 cargos de hurto menor
and using some other person's identification.
y usar la identificación de otra persona.
The court finds probable cause to detain you,
La Corte encuentra causa probable para detenerlo
And what says pretrial?
Your Honor, I show that he has a case pending out of Miami-Dade from an arrest the 18th of September.
Que usted tiene, tiene un cargo pendiente fuera del condado de Miami-Dade.
I apologize.
Yeah.
4 counts of burglary of an unoccupied structure.
Que son 4 allanamientos de morada desocupada. 4 cargos.
You want the other priors, or is that?
No, well, just a few more.
2017, possession of marijuana.
En el 2017 tuvo un cargo de posesión de marihuana.
2014, fleeing and eluding law enforcement.
En el 2014, escaparse y eludir a la policía.
He went through a diversion program.
Y usted por ese cargo fue a un programa de diversificación judicial.
All right, Mr. Perez,
Señor Pérez.
Judge, if I could give you some input as far as his financial resources. Right now, he lives with his mom. His mom is a housekeeper. That's the person he's going to
Su abogado está diciéndole al
Counsel,
señor
speak
juez
slowly. Okay.
por usted de que usted depende económicamente de su mamá que está encargada de una casa.
And he is working. He works in construction, in which he gets paid about $100 a day.
Y que usted trabaja en construcción, que le están pagando en el trabajo, por el trabajo de construcción.
I asked him how much he can basically afford, Judge, and he seems to think if the court were inclined to set around a $2,000 bond, that would be reasonable for his financial
Y
circumstances.
que dada la situación financiera de usted, sería que el señor juez piden que el señor juez le ponga $2,000 de fianza, que eso puede usted pagar.
All right, Mr. Perez, on the burglary charge,
Señor Pérez, en el cargo de allanamiento de morada,
I'm setting your bond at $1,000,
estoy fijándole la fianza en $1,000.
and the fraudulent use of another person's identification,
Y en el uso fraudulento de la identificación de otra persona,
I'm setting your bond also at $1,000.
también le estoy poniendo una fianza de $1,000.
All right, thank you, sir.
Gracias, señor.
All right, and was it Mr. Rodriguez that needed an interpreter?
Senor Rodriguez, he speaks English, Judge, but he's a co-defendant. I don't know if you want to address him now.
No, I just am trying to get the interpreter out of here. All right.
¿Alguien más habla español? ¿Alguien más requiere los servicios de un intérprete? No one else requires Spanish
All
interpreter.
right,
Judge.
let's go back to the Nicholas Strategaeus. No
Mr.
movement.
Rodriguez, on page 13.
Oh, he was removed.
He was removed. Okay, there you go.
Confinement.
Hubert Cruzada.
North Broward, Judge.
North Broward, Your Honor.
Mr. Cruzada, sir, you're being held on a warrants for 2 counts of grand theft. So the court finds probable cause to detain you. The court notes your 6 priors that are substantially related to the same type of charge you're here on today. The court is going to place you on pretrial supervision. The special conditions of pretrial supervision will be posting bond in the amount of $1,000 on each count for a total of $2,000. General conditions.
Judge, he has a no bond immigration hold.
So he's not going anywhere anyway. All right.
I'd ask you not to put him on pretrial release at this.
Just, okay, so just leave the bond at $1,000 each.
That's fine. Thank you, Judge.
All right.
All right. Good luck, Mr. Cruzada.
Edward Harding,
He's approaching, Judge. He's here at Maine. Come on up, sir.
I'm sorry? An immigration hold. Cruzada doesn't have an immigration hold? Why do you think he has an immigration hold, counsel? That's what he told you? Well, maybe now he's gonna get one now that he told me.
They have to have
Detainer from
they
the,
have to have not only the detainer now, they have to have an actual warrant signed by the immigration judge.
and they don't have one
And they
yet.
don't have.
Okay, so let's put him on pretrial with the condition, why don't we put it as a condition, if he does get an immigration hold, he can be taken off of pretrial. Is that something that you can put as a condition? Yes, you can.
You have to do an order.
I'm just telling you to put it in the order. He will automatically be released from pretrial if he gets an immigration warrant. So that way he can deal with immigration. You're resourceful, you can deal with it. All right, let's go back to Mr. Harding.
He's here, Maine.
Mr. Harding, you're being held on a charge of burglary of an unoccupied conveyance, grand theft, and trespass. Sir, the court finds probable cause to detain you until further order of the court. You can have absolutely no contact with the alleged victim in this case. Sir, the court notes you have 36 priors. The court notes a lot of them are substantially related, so much so that the Seminole tribe has banned you from all Indian property within Broward County, according to the information that I have. The court is going to set your bond as follows, sir. On the burglary charge, $5,000, grand theft, $1,000, and trespass, $25, for a total of $6,125, sir. That's all. Antonio DeMarco?
Mr. DeMarco is here present. He informed me he has private counsel, Mr. Lyon Greenblatt.
Greenblatt.
Yes, Judge, I spoke with Mr. Greenblatt this morning.
Are you with his office?
I represent, no, Your Honor, Mr. DiPietro's office. I represent the victim in this case.
Okay.
So whenever Your Honor's ready to address
All right,
it.
is he coming?
No, he's not, Judge.
Okay. All right, Mr. DeMarco, you're being held on 2 counts of grand theft over $100,000, 1 count of money laundering over $100,000, and obtaining property by fraud over $50,000. So Judge Merrigan has reviewed the affidavit setting forth the allegations. He has found probable cause to detain you. I have in turn reviewed, and the court similarly finds probable cause to detain you. Judge Merrigan has issued an order on September 26, setting forth your conditions of release, and the court adopts all those conditions in total. So your total bond, sir, is $400,000. And I'm sure your attorney will be aware of the various conditions you will have to meet, even if you're able to come up with that amount, sir. Anything else?
Nothing further.
All right.
Your Honor, we just wanted to make sure that he has to surrender his passport. There is a significant issue of him absconding out of the country. And in fact,
Well, I think that.
Well, I think all those issues are already covered.
There is a passport surrender covered by.
Yeah. Have you seen Judge Merrigan's order?
the prosecutor has relayed some of the conditions to me, yes.
Right.
The victim I represent had to
Yeah, he
invest
has to
significant resources to make sure he was found, so we wanted to make sure.
Yeah, that's,
That is
Judge
done.
Merrigan's already ordered that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Joshua Spells?
He's approaching, Judge.
Mr. Spells, you're being held on a charge of possession of burglary tools and grand theft auto. The court finds probable cause to detain you. What says pretrial?
Just a moment, Your Honor. Here, I see no adult record of this defendant, but he does have a significant juvenile record.
Okay, does he look like someone that you could successfully supervise?
If the court orders us to do our best, we shall. Would you like me to show you his NCIC so you can take a look at it?
Sure. All right, there you go. Thank you. All right, the court's going to set bond on each count at $1,000 for a total of $2,000.
Judge, first, if I can be heard.
You may.
He's 19 years old. I do understand he has a juvie record, but unfortunately, he's not working. He's currently looking for work. He's homeless. He lives at a shelter. From what he advised me, basically, there's no one that's going to be able to afford to post a monetary bond. He's not in a financial position. He assures me he's going to come back to court. He's asking Your Honor to go ahead and place him on pretrial.
I'm not going to place him on pretrial without some sort of monitor, and based on what you just said, he's not going to qualify for a monitor, so the answer is no. All right,
Yes, Judge.
thank you. Jose Rodriguez Barrios?
Mr. Barrios, come on up, please.
Sir, you're being held on a charge of burglary of an unoccupied conveyance, 2 counts of petty theft, and fraudulent use of another person's identification. The court finds probable cause to detain you. What says pretrial list? Any priors?
Yes, he does have an arrest, 4 counts of burglary from Miami Springs Police Department.
So that was the same as the co-defendant?
Yes, sir, it was.
Oh, they sound like the dynamic duo there. Okay. 4 counts, Miami-Dade. Okay. Anything else other than that?
Nothing that significant, Your Honor.
Okay.
And we're going to be asking for a similar bond. He can afford a total of $2,000. He's works in landscaping. He lives in Miami with his father. His father also works in landscaping, so he believes that It's about $2,000 bond.
Your Honor, he was arrested in March of this year, grand theft third degree out of the Doral Police Department, and then August, 2 counts of petty theft. He received end of record.
All right, the court's gonna set count 1 at $2,000, count 4 at $1,000, for a total of $3,000. Thank you. Dylan Moore,
His employer is present.
good morning. Oh, you're his mother?
Oh, you're his mom. Oh, I thought this
Okay.
was, I have a letter saying he's a good worker, Your Judge.
Okay.
I thought it was from his employer, I'm sorry.
All right, Mr. Moore, you're being held on a charge of petty theft, as also warrants for violating pretrial. The court finds probable cause to detain you, sir. The court notes on the violations of pretrial and pursuant to the warrants that have been issued, pursuant to Florida Statute 9030471, the court having found probable cause that you have committed a crime while you were on release, your release is hereby revoked in case 18-4610 CF10A. And sir, you're being held without bond until you can see Judge Lynch. Your bond on the petty theft is $25. So ma'am, he's gonna have to see his assigned judge, and I do not know the next court date. They didn't write it down for me, so I'm not sure when that is. Okay?
I get like notification of when and where.
Does he live at your home?
Yes, he does.
Then a notice should come to your house.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Javera Salas,
Mr. Salas is approaching. Come on up, sir.
you wrote that very nicely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Give me just a moment, sir.
The same testimony was 2 different case numbers on those warrants.
All right, sir, you're being held on a charge of possession of alprazolam, and the court finds probable cause to detain you. Sir, the court notes you have 19 priors. Your bond is $1,000, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
Douglas Scott.
Mr. Scott. Oh, no problem.
I refuse, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Pursuant to rule, the court finds a charge of petty theft, that there is probable cause to detain Mr. Scott. I do note he has 20 priors extensively related to the charge of theft. Accordingly, his bond remains at $750. Nigel Durham.
Mr. Durham, come on up, please.
All right, Mr. Durham, I've just been advised, sir, that your bond has been posted. You'll be released shortly, sir. Michael Basil?
Bazil? Yeah, Bazil.
Sir, you're being held on a charge of conspiracy to traffic in cocaine. The court finds no probable cause at this point. If this is the only document, is there not a second page to this? Because it seems like the officer may have been in a rush.
Your Honor, you could also take into consideration, he has a co-defendant who was missing a second page, and I provided that, which goes into a little more detail.
Well, shouldn't I take that into consideration of
It's a sworn
the
affidavit.
code?
I'm sorry. It's a sworn affidavit where he's mentioned by name, so I think the court can take it into consideration.
I would
That's
object.
Mr. Cromwell.
It is.
All right, so Mr. Basile, have a seat for me for just a moment, sir, okay? Jeffrey Gene Lewis.
Mr. Gene Lewis.
Sir, you're being held on a charge of burglary of an unoccupied dwelling. The court finds probable cause to detain you. Sir, the court notes you are currently out on release in case 17-14771, CF10A before Judge Duffy. The court having found probable cause that you have committed a crime while on release, your release in case 17-14771, CF10A is hereby revoked. You will be held without bond pending further order of Judge Duffy. As to the charge of burglary of an unoccupied dwelling, sir, your bond is $5,000, and I took into consideration your 3 priors. And I need an order from the state.
Yes, sir.
Ronald Comeno.
Mr. Comegno, come on up, please.
Sir, are you on Mr. Cromwell? Are you on Mr. Cromwell?
No, I'm on Mr. I am on Mr. Cromwell.
Okay, then let me do Mr. Comeno. I was trying to do him and Mr. Basile together, but I see they just took Mr. Basile somewhere. I'm sorry, where's Mr. Comeno?
He's here.
He's sleeping? He's sleeping. No?
Ronald, come on up, sir.
Yeah,
He's approaching, Judge.
okay. I think he's cold. All
It
right.
is a little bit cold in here.
All right. Sir, you're being held on a charge of burglary and petty theft. The court finds probable cause to detain you. Sir, I do note you have 11 priors. As a result, on the burglary charge, I'm setting your bond at $2,500, and on the petty theft, $750. So you're going to have to see your assigned judge, sir, if you can't make that bond. All right, let's go to Mr. Cromwell. Girardi Cromwell.
He's approaching, Judge.
Judge, good morning. Michael Meyer on Mr. Cromwell's behalf.
Did you get to see this second page yet?
Judge, I did see the second page.
Okay, so I haven't seen it yet, so give me just a quick second. All right, Mr. Cromwell, you're being held on a charge of armed trafficking in cocaine. The court originally did not find probable cause, but the state has provided me a second page. So let me see.
Frank, your phone will be on. It's backwards. Your bond is $250,000 reported. I don't understand. Any cases, prior felons, prior misdemeanors.
All right.
Judge, if I may, I do have an argument regarding the actual possession of the narcotics. I think at best, this is an attempted possession. I don't think it was ever consummated. The probable cause affidavit says that the detective put the drugs, produced the kilogram of cocaine, and the defendant manipulated it and smelled it, and then the detective walked out of the room. It was never consummated. He never possessed it. Additionally, the gun was not where they necessarily possessed with the drugs themselves. So I don't think that there's a nexus between the drugs and the gun, and I don't believe that the transaction was consummated. So I think at best it's an attempted trafficking, not armed trafficking.
All right, what says the state?
Your Honor, he obviously manipulated and smelled it. He
Hold
was
on just a second, I can't. There's some way I can, okay, go ahead. Well, he can't hear me. Can you hear me? Mr. Cromwell, nod your head if you can hear me. Okay, he can hear me, but we can't hear the noise in the jail. Go ahead.
Your Honor, the allegation that he manipulated and smelled the drugs, he did take dominion and control over those drugs, Your Honor.
What about the argument dealing with the firearm?
Your Honor, he had it in his possession, he brought it there. He was in possession, actual possession of the firearm. He was seen putting it in the bag.
Okay.
Judge, although I can't argue that he didn't have a firearm, there has to be a nexus between the possession of the drugs and the firearm. Although the firearm was present, he did not possess both the drugs and the firearm together, so therefore I don't believe it's an armed trafficking. And again, my argument is that this was not a consummated trafficking.
Okay. Counsel, I'm sorry, you said Meyer?
Michael Meyer, M-I-R-E-R.
M-I-I.
And Judge, I could tell the court that he's a United States citizen. I believe he has limited contact with the system, some misdemeanor contact. He's married, children, steady employment. We're asking the court to consider a bond in this case regarding and outlining the issues that we've addressed.
The court has reviewed both pages of the affidavit. The court does find probable cause for the crime of armed trafficking, and that is a no bond hold. I have taken into consideration the sworn statement of Officer Edwards, and I do believe the proof of guilt is evident and the presumption great, so he will be held without bond. His assigned judge is Judge Merrigan.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you, sir. And do you have another copy of the second page?
I can print out another copy. Your
Okay.
Honor, if you'd like.
All right. Let's recall Mr. Basil.
Mr. Basil is here at Maine. Come on up, sir.
Mr. Basil, you don't have an attorney, correct, sir?
He applied for the public defenders
Okay.
today.
All right, so originally, as I was saying, there's insufficient details in this affidavit for Mr. Basil to find probable cause of conspiracy to traffic in cocaine.
Yes, Your Honor, I would argue, when considering both reports, and I believe the court, it is the report.
Well, let me see the second, because I just gave her the.
Well, it's the same, it's the
I
same.
know, but I was focusing on Mr. Cromwell. I don't recall seeing anything in here about Mr. Basil. Back to it says it was he. Okay, he said, the second page says, Mr. Basil, I don't want you to respond to any of this, sir, that he was driving the car, okay? Followed. Okay, it also says Mr. Basil followed and entered. Okay. They attended a meeting between. So, the three things that I gleaned from this, that you say would be sufficient to prove conspiracy, is that he was present in the room, he drove the car, and he followed the other defendant into whatever the room was. I'm not sure what type of room it was they're talking about. So he never possessed anything, according to this. So how can that constitute conspiracy?
Your Honor, I would be arguing, if the court doesn't find that, for conspiracy, that certainly is a principle, because he was present when the deal was consummated.
But that's not what he's charged with.
I understand, but I believe the court can find, based on the allegations, if you find probable cause exists for a different offense, I believe the court does have the discretion to find probable cause for a different charge. For instance, if someone was charged with possession of cocaine with intent to sell.
But isn't like possession of is the charge of as a principal or as an accessory the same penalty as the conspiracy?
It would be, yes. And Your Honor, the argument I'd make is he was present when the deal was consummated, when it was negotiated and consummated. He drove.
I understand the driving part.
So,
and you say
because he was aware of the purposes of the meeting for the drug deal, and he was he brought him there. He followed the detective. He was his means of getting away from the scene.
But there's nothing in here about.
But
Mr.
you're
Brazil
assuming because he drove the car, he was aware why he was going there. Now, we can infer that, but that's not enough for a jury.
Your Honor, no, it's not just that he drove. It's also that he was present for the meeting between Mr. Cromwell and the detective, that they all met again. Then when they met the very next day, Your Honor, he had cash.
Where does it say that?
They met on October 9th.
Okay, on October 9th. I see that.
1 moment. The deal happened on the 10th. I would know.
Okay, I got you. I got it. Says he was present when they had the discussion about the transaction, and then the next day he was there. Okay. All right, the court finds that it is sufficient. Did pretrial look for any records from Mr. Basil?
I can, if you like, Your Honor. Your Honor, he has no criminal history. I would just ask the court to take into consideration, even with no criminal history, if convicted of this charge, he faces a 15-year minimum mandatory prison sentence.
Okay.
Judge, as you found out, he basically has no prior record. He's a registered voter here in Florida. He just lost his job approximately about 3 weeks ago. He was working at a company called Eagle Hauling. He was delivering dumpsters for a living. He did that for 4 years. Right now, he's living with his parents in Naples, and his dad, that's who he's going to be reaching out to, is a college professor. There's no way they can afford the $250,000, which is currently set. When he was working, he was making about $15 an hour, Judge. So I'd ask you to take that into consideration, determining reasonable release conditions for Mr. Basil.
All right, the court's going to set bond at $25,000. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to take this in order. Okay, it's.
I think you may have passed them already.
I did. I called them all once, so they went to the bottom of the stack.
Okay.
So if you'll just bear with us, we're almost back through it again. Aaron Dames.
Mr. Dames, come on.
Mr. Dames, you're being held on a warrant on a charge of grand theft auto. The court finds probable cause to detain you. What says pretrial?
He was arrested on the 17th of September in the state of Georgia for battery domestic violence.
That's it?
That's all I.
End of record?
Judge, my understanding, Mr. Dames, that offense was dropped. So basically, he has a clean record, and he was extradited from Georgia. He's been in custody for about 1 month. He's 24 years old. He'll, right now, there's no one that he advised me that can post a monetary bond. We're going to be asking for pretrial release on Mr. Dames.
All right, the court will put him on pretrial supervision, standard conditions.
Thank you, Judge.
Raymond Roland,
Mr. Roland, come on up, please. He's approaching.
sir, you're being held on 4 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and 1 count of carrying a concealed firearm. The court does find probable cause to detain you. Sir, until further order of the court, there can be absolutely no contact with any of the alleged victims in this case. What says pretrial?
2008, he was arrested for a DUI. End of record.
Judge, he
Okay.
advised me of that, and that was, from what he told me, it was dismissed, so he has a clean record. Basically, we're going to be asking for pretrial release. Mr. Rowland advised me he just lost his job. He was working at the Beach Cafe for 6 years, and now he's currently looking for work.
All right, the court's going to set bond as follows on counts 1 through 4, $5,000 each for a total of $20,000. Count 5, $1,000 for a total of total bond of $21,000. Additionally, if he's able to post bond, he will be placed on pretrial supervision, highest level of monitoring. These are very serious charges, sir. You're lucky that there's no allegation here that anyone was hit by any of those bullets. Richard,
Judge, would you consider allowing him access to his phone so he can get phone contact to try and see who can come up with someone?
sure,
Thank you.
No guns, weapons, firearms, ammo?
sure. I would think that's a standard condition.
Actually, it's not.
Okay,
And stay at least 500 feet away?
no, that's not necessary. Richard Graham,
Mr. Graham is here present, Judge?
Mr. Graham, you're being held on a charge of possession of cocaine, possession of drug paraphernalia, and driving while license suspended as a habitual violator. Sir, the court finds probable cause to detain you, notes that you have 19 priors.
One of which he's being supervised by a pretrial at this time, case 18-11046, CF-10A,
What's the charge?
possession of cocaine.
All right. So your total bond is $1,850.
Thank you.
The court's going to be revoking your pretrial on the cocaine charge. Wait, these charges.
Right.
He was arrested
On
for.
the top, that case number corresponds to that one charge on the top.
So he got picked up again.
On
Okay.
those, correct.
Was there a bond on all 3? Usually, there's not a bond on.
No, Your Honor, on the one for today, he was only out, here we go. He was only out on the possession of cocaine.
So why did these? So
Because
I'm
that's
just going
what- those were the arrests from today.
Oh, I got you. That doesn't make sense
I
the
know.
way they do this
I
order.
just read.
Okay.
Thank you.
Judge, I believe the case that he's out on pretrial, which Your Honor said you're inclined to revoke, I believe it's a drug offense that I believe from what Mr. Graham advised me, it's not filed yet. Would you consider not taking any action?
No, taking no action would mean he would stay on pretrial. If he violates pretrial, he's not entitled to be on pretrial. I'll put his bond at $1,000.
$1,000. Thank you, Judge. So now you have $1,000 in the case that you were out on, and on this case.
I can hear you, counsel.
So for the record, that case was filed, just so he knows. I'll take that one. Thank you.
Samuel Marconi,
Mr. Marconi, come on up.
sir, you're being held on a charge of possession of THC. The court does find probable cause to detain you, notes your 3 priors.
Judge, this is a residue case. The odds are pretty good that the state is going to file this as a possession of drug paraphernalia charge. I'd ask the court to take that into consideration when determining an appropriate bond for Mr. Marconi.
Did pretrial look at him?
2014, there was an assault and battery. He was adjudicated on that. That was out of the state of South Carolina. I do see a history of failing to appear on most of his cases, 1, 2, 3. Looking at 3 different failures to appear for him from
Well, what I'm gonna do with Mr. Marconi is I'm gonna put him on pretrial supervision with the condition of a drug evaluation, any follow-up treatment that might be necessary. And then if he violates, then he'll lose his right to be out on release. It's that
Thank you,
simple.
Judge. Thank you.
And that was standard condition, correct?
Yeah, with the exception of that. Yannick Jose Montero Victor.
Come on up, sir.
Sir, you're being held on a charge of possession of cannabis, violating probation. The court finds probable cause to detain you. Sir, you're on a no bond hold pending transport to Palm Beach County. And on the cannabis charge, sir, your bond is $100. Eric Dukes.
Mr. Dukes?
Mr. Dukes, you're being held on a charge of driving while license suspended as a habitual violator. The court finds probable cause to detain you. Sir, the court notes your 17 priors. Your bond is $750, sir. George or Jorge Torres.
He's in his division courtroom, Judge.
He's in court today? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Rosa Abdallah. This is a
She's
recall.
approaching. Yes.
We were not able,
He just said he's before the assigned judge.
Your Honor?
The assigned judge wouldn't take care of it?
If I could address it very briefly, because it's turning into a loop. What happens every day is, he's in his court, he gets reset, but then he gets a new court date on the docket for the next day. So when we come back the next day, he's in his courtroom. He's got no bond holds. This is just.
Why is he getting a new court date in the courtroom? That doesn't happen with everybody else.
The clerk's office does it now pursuant to the AO.
Well, then don't set him here. If he's before the assigned judge, the judge is supposed to handle it.
And he's already been arraigned too. He's been
So leave
advised of
him,
this
no
charge.
more. We're done.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Abdallah, are you aware if your attorney is going to be coming, ma'am?
I'm not. I haven't talked to her.
Okay. Oh, so how do you know? So you know you have an attorney, you just haven't talked to her?
No, what happened is that I didn't know I was gonna come here, and she helped me with my divorce. That's the only lawyer
Okay.
that I know.
She's a divorce lawyer. Okay, gotcha. All right, ma'am, you're being held on a charge of failing to disclose facts for public assistance, also known as welfare fraud. And the court finds probable cause to detain you. What says pretrial?
I'm looking right now, Your Honor, I see no other arrest for this defendant, Ms. Abdallah.
Judge, in speaking with she gave me the phone number of her mother. I'm gonna be contacting her, and she believes her mom can post the monetary bond with the help of a bondsman, Judge, so.
All right, so we'll leave the bond at $1,000. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. William Hennigan, this is actually, did City of Hollywood show up? Okay, so he's gonna be our ward on all these charges. So, Mr. Hennigan, you're gonna be getting a court date to come back to court. And if you don't come back to court, you're gonna get warrants to be arrested. And the cycle's just gonna continue and continue and continue. So, you're gonna need to follow up to figure out when your court date is, sir.
All right, I'll do it at the library.
Okay.
Thank you for releasing me.
And actually, I have a note here that, who's Division MA? Judge Mindy Brown will see you on all these charges tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. So when you're released, if you come back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock here at the courthouse, she'll address these cases. Okay?
What room is that in?
5165.
All right, thank you, sir.
All righty. Could you let Judge Brown's office know that to make sure those are put on her docket for tomorrow? Okay? Raymond Sherman, this is City of Dania Beach. City of Dania Beach has not appeared. Mr. Sherman, same thing for you, sir. The court's going to release you on your own recognizance. Sir, you need to follow up with the court to see when your next court date's going to be. Otherwise, a warrant will be issued for your arrest. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying, sir? Oh, I can't hear him. Hold on. Thank you, sir. Can you hear me? You understand?
I understand.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm not sure.
You're not sure how to do that?
Yes, I don't have no way of writing down anything.
I got it, Your Honor.
All right, thank you so much. She's gonna write it down for you, okay?
Thank you, sir.
All righty. All right, now we're to City of Fort Lauderdale. Roy Miller. Good.
Oh, okay.
All right, Mr. Miller, you're being held on a charge of trespass. The court finds probable cause to detain you. And counsel, I notice he has 53 priors.
Yes, Judge.
I was gonna offer him 18 days today.
Judge, I was gonna ask if the court would sentence him to 10 days, actually, and to release him to the Henderson Centralized Receiving Center upon his release.
And how do you know they'll do that?
We have an order here that I could give the court, and Henderson actually comes and picks him up from the jail when he's being released. The only thing is we need to know the day of his release so that they can come on that day.
Okay. Do you understand that, Mr. Miller?
Yes, Your Honor, can I say something?
Yes, sir?
To my attorney? Hey, do me a favor, get a hold of United Way and see if they get my DB 214 or VA housing. They're supposed to help me too.
Okay, did you understand?
I did. But Roy, when you have my card, when you get out, just call me and I'll help you out with that. That's not something difficult to do. There's something I can help you with. This is
Okay.
discharge papers, Judge, from the military.
All right, so we'll do 10 days and then release to Henderson.
Courthouse, and you can find out when your birthday is. Okay, good luck.
Judge, if we could just get the day, if we, of confinement status.
What
to
if
tell
we
us
say just release him to Henderson? And they can release him today or tomorrow to Henderson? Will they come pick him up?
It's not a homeless place.
So,
it's,
but, I mean, is there a place available for him?
no, Judge, what it is there's a division over at Henderson that helps homeless folks to find housing, temporary housing or permanent housing.
Right.
So they actually are the ones who come and pick him up, not the jail. So all they need to know is what day he's going to be released, and then they will come and pick him up.
So you want the case to be over?
Judge, no, the 18th as a date would be fine.
He takes 10 days, Broward County Jail, his release date to be the 18th of October. So on the 18th.
But I want to make sure they release him to Henderson on the 18th and not general release on the 18th.
Right, so that's where his order come in and they'll put.
Okay.
When he's released, that he'll be released at either 9
All right.
a.m. or 9 p.m.
Gotcha. So we'll do an adjudicate 10 days with a release to Henderson.
And
Okay.
9 a.m. is probably better because of Friday morning.
Yeah, 9 a.m.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Thank you, sir. Good luck to you. All right. Richard Engel.
He's over at North Broward, Judge. He's a medical reset.
All right. He wasn't there. Okay. There you go, ma'am.
Thank you. No, there's one more.
Okay. I know. I'm trying to get it all done.
That's right. You do a good job. We appreciate it.
Okay, so Mr. Engel, so what do you want to do on this one? It's ROR?
Mr. Angel is currently being supervised by pretrial services. Case 18-9435.
You know, when the officer starts, defendant is a nuisance in the area.
He was
It doesn't
placed
look
on
like it's
pretrial
going well, does it?
On September 30th, Your Honor, defrauding an innkeeper. Judge Duffy even told him he's not to return to the quarterdeck.
Oh, to the quarter deck. I thought you said to the court. I'm like,
The
well,
quarter-
she's banned him from the courthouse?
The quarter,
The quarter
did I say that
deck.
word wrong?
No, you had it with that lilt.
Sorry.
All right.
2933 East Las Olas Boulevard.
Okay.
So
That's the one at the beach.
here is the revocation of the court.
Okay. What am I gonna do with him since he's not here? I guess we'll just reset him till tomorrow. So hopefully someone will be able to deal with that.
I'll take it back. I'll take it all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tracy Robinson, actually that's Hollywood. Okay. Tracy Robinson,
He's here at Main, Judge.
so Hollywood did not come. So Mr. Robinson, I'm gonna ROR you on the charge of loitering. And is your mailing address 1525
Warren Street.
Van Buren Street, Hollywood? Yeah, spell it for me.
B-U-R-E-N.
Sure that's not Buren?
Oh, Van Buren, okay, like the president. Gotcha. All right, so you're gonna be released, a notice is gonna be mailed to you to come back to court. Make sure you come back to court, otherwise a warrant will be issued for your arrest, okay?
All right.
Thank you so much. All righty. Now let's get back to Michael Trimble.
He's approaching. Morning, Ewing.
Do you have an extra one of these so I can give it to Judge Barner? Thanks. All right, Mr. Trimble. First, I wanted a blank one so I can, because, with the community court issues, I just kind of want to see what other stuff you guys are already doing. All right, yes, sir.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I spoke with Mr. LeVay, who's his attorney. He's out of town and is not available today, but he asked if the court could reset the matter for tomorrow morning.
Can you spell the attorney's last name for me?
Lavay.
LeVay.
Yes.
And the first name was?
I believe it's Seth, S-E-T-H.
Seth? Okay.
I believe so.
Well, he's due to be before FG is
It's Judge
Judge Dennis Bailey tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
Which doesn't make sense. He had a calendar call yesterday.
But I think it's because he's on the docket. You don't think?
Well, it's completely because he's put up this whole.
But did you tell Mr. LeVay that he's?
I didn't realize because I didn't have the docket in front of me when I was on the phone with him. I'll call his office back. I think we'll be able to deal with it. I mean, I'm afraid.
Well, let me just. If he is sent to Judge Bailey, he's not going to be sent here. So the attorney just needs to know where he's going to be. That's all I'm trying to say.
I'll reach out to him and let him know.
Okay. Does the jail know? It's like a big mystery.
No.
Is this because, do I need to let the chief judge know this AO is not working?
Well, I'll let you know. Well, it's a separate matter, but I mean.
The idea was to not have people languish in custody. But if they're being reset because we have these competing orders, we need to resolve that issue.
I think there's some confusion when you use the word capias. It's one thing when someone's arrested on a failure to appear capias. These are add charge capiases. These are change of charge capias where in many instances they've seen.
He shouldn't have been added to the judge's docket then.
Yes.
Because it wasn't for failure to appear. All right, so he's not gonna be set before Judge Bailey tomorrow. I am so ordering. Does anyone not understand what I'm saying? He's gonna be brought back here tomorrow. His attorney's gonna be here tomorrow. Okay. Right, Mr. Trimble, did you have any questions just on that part? Your attorney can't be here today, so we're gonna see you back tomorrow when the attorney's gonna be here. But you know you weren't going anywhere anyway, so.
Yeah, I already know.
Okay, you don't need to talk about any of the case, but I just wanna make sure you understand that. All right, so we'll see you back tomorrow morning.
Okay, tomorrow.
There you go. And last but not least is Michelle Ortiz.
She's approaching, Judge.
And this was the one that I did not get. So give me just a moment, Ms. Ortiz.
No problem.
All right, ma'am, you're being held on multiple charges. Grand theft over $300, providing false ownership information, dealing in stolen property, violating probation, petty theft, providing, another charge of providing false ownership information, another charge of dealing in stolen property. It says another charge of VOP, but it's the same exact case number.
Because she had two PCs, so they violate each time they have a.
Okay.
So it's just one of them.
So on this one, because it is a VOP, you are due to see your assigned judge tomorrow, Judge Fine, at 9 o'clock in the morning. The court does find probable cause to detain you, ma'am. And your bond on count 1 is 1,000, count 2 1,000, count 3 3,500, count 5 100, count 6 1,000, and count 7 3,500. However, on the 2 violation of probations, ma'am, you're being held without bond until you can see Judge Fine tomorrow.
Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, do we have anything else?
Yes, Judge, there were two people in Pompano who wanted to know if you would recall their case. They wanted to resolve them.
Pompano is north?
North Broward.
Madam Clerk, do you still have the paperwork?
This is Ms. Haynes. She's the first case on the docket today. And the second one is Mr.
So they should be near the top of your paperwork. Okay.
You would offer her adjudication time served, Judge. She
Ms.
called me from the
Haynes.
jail and asked if, upon further reflection, she could accept that plea.
All right,
Brittany Haynes.
so, no, Brittany Haynes I have.
Okay. Oh, the other one is Moore.
So Ms. Haynes, you don't want to bond out, you want to take the time served?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you, ma'am. And then Mr. Moore?
You would offer him
11 days concurrent.
11 days.
All right. So, Mr. Moore, you are going to take the 11 days concurrent on all these charges, credit for any time you've served. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, everybody. Is there anything else?
I just have to question, Torres, the one that they said was sent to division, because that case was an ad charge. He has so many multiple cases, he could be in front of division on everything else. The ad charge is almost like a first appearance, so he needs to be reset so he can address that ad charge.
I just addressed it. I just signed the
I don't know,
paperwork.
You passed it, I didn't hear you say probable cause found.
Your Honor, I was just
You
gonna
don't
say,
have to come back, we just gonna find probable cause.
Yes, sir.
if it's okay, if you could, based on the ad charge capias, find probable cause and abstention.
I think I did, but if you can go to Madam Clerk and help her find her paperwork. No, I don't remember who.
Torres, he was more towards the end. Matter of fact, he was.
I was gonna come and see you guys this afternoon, but so many other judges were fighting me for this privilege. So,
Everybody loves to hang out with us. Always a pleasure.
all right, take care. We'll see you later.